Hello students, this is Mr. Brooks. Today's discussion is going to talk about drunk driving or impaired driving. This is a very important concept and you need to understand the information that's covered in the next slides of the PowerPoint. What we'd like to cover here is what the effects of drinking are, the laws in Utah that are related to drinking and driving, and the consequences of drinking and driving to you and your future as a driver, and what to do when a friend has drank too much or wants to drive drunk. First question is, how many drinks in the body does it take to affect driving? The correct answer here is any amount of alcohol, because the first drink, one beer an hour or one mixed drink in an hour, will affect your ability to operate the vehicle. You will be somewhat impaired. You may not be intoxicated, but you will be impaired after even one drink. Now, the effects of alcohol on driving are that it slows your reaction time, it limits your ability to make judgments, to recognize things that are happening, to discriminate colors. We'll go through some more of this later, but you need to know what those effects are. You need to know what the percent of alcohol in the blood is illegal. Now, in Utah, the blood alcohol content, or known as BAC, 0.08 blood alcohol contact, you're considered to be impaired, whether you're drunk or not. And then we need to start making decisions about what we would do if someone tries to drive drunk. Any drinking driver is at risk, but young people have a greater chance of being in a crash than older drivers if they've been drinking. And again, this relates to what we've talked about previously with experience. Obviously, the greater the blood alcohol content, the greater the risk of being in a fatal crash. And then besides the crash and accident and injury component, it's very, very expensive to get picked up for drunk driving. Insurance goes up for 3 years, fines, license fees, getting back and forth to work, the list goes on and on. A lawyer, the justice system, all of those kinds of things. It's just going to be expensive. Now, you all have made a decision whether you're going to drink and drive, but you may be around someone who's been drinking and you have to make a decision that you're not going to get in the car with them. If they insist, you've got to try to take their keys away, get them home with someone that hasn't been drinking, call a cab, make other arrangements. But friends don't let friends drive drunk. And friends also don't get in the car with friends who have been drinking. Now, this is a significant problem in the United States of America, drinking and driving. An average of one alcohol-impaired fatality occurs every hour, every 48 minutes. That's not an accident, that's a death. 10,800 people are killed in alcohol-impaired driving crashes each year. And all 50 states have created a law making it illegal to drive with a blood alcohol content of 0.08 or higher. Now, on the test, you may see that represented as 8.0 or 0.008. Make sure that you know where the decimal point is as you're preparing for this. Now, we talked earlier on a previous slide about how alcohol affects your driving ability. We'll do a unit a little later on space management, but alcohol affects your ability to search and see things in the driving task. It affects your eye focus. Now, there's a test that the officers can give you called where they put their hand in front of your eyes and your eyes will jerk rather than follow that. That's a gaze diagnosis test, and it's very effective in telling if people have been drinking, and it's focused, and it's because of your eye focus. Drunk drivers have double vision; they can't see very clearly. They have a very hard time identifying distances, how far things are away. Their peripheral vision or side vision is gone, and their vision can get blurry. Now, if you put any one of these things can cause a problem, but all of them together, you can see why there's many, many accidents with drunk drivers. Drunk drivers also have a hard time seeing colors, the color distinction, because their eyes are not focusing. Their eye focus is limited, so they don't see very well in night vision. obviously their response time is significantly slower, and they can't have the fine motor skills that might be necessary. That's why the officer will have someone try to walk a line or stand on one foot and touch their nose. Those are motor skills that the drunk driver is not able to do. It is true that the amount that you drink, characteristics about your body, can affect how impaired you are. It seems that females can't drink as much before it starts to affect them. The heavier you are, the more you can drink. The lighter you are, the less it takes to become impaired. How much alcohol is in the drink, whether you've eaten before you drink, because food does help absorb some of the alcohol, and then actually how long you've been drinking, and probably more effectively is how fast you've been drinking. If you factor in all of those things that we listed in the slide on what affects drunk driving and how alcohol affects a driver, you can see these are the kinds of things that officers are looking for as they observe drunk drivers. Someone who can't stay in their lane, someone that almost hits an object or swerves to miss, weaving back and forth on the shoulder, driving too slowly because their reaction time is not there. You can read the rest of these. Failure to dim lights is one that catches a number of people. Now, a common misconception is that if I drink coffee or eat a certain kind of food, that I can eliminate the alcohol from my system. What you need to understand is the alcohol is only eliminated in 3 ways. It's either eliminated on your breath. As you breathe in and out, the alcohol is transferred from your blood to your breath through your lungs, and as you breathe, alcohol is expended from your body. Ditto with sweat. If you're sweating, the alcohol can be eliminated in the sweat. And then finally, it can be oxidized in your liver. And there's no other way it can be removed from your body. Remember that time is the only method to remove alcohol from the system. In other words, if you've been drinking and you're under that and you're over that 0.08, you just have to wait it out. There is no thing that you can do to make it faster. And it's important to know that 1.5 hours is what it takes to eliminate one drink from the system. There's no hurry in it. You can drink coffee, you can take Red Bull, you can drink 5-hour energy. None of that affects the chemistry of getting alcohol out of your system. It's much the same with other drugs, and impaired driving is under the same rules, whether it's with prescription drugs or marijuana or any other kind of drug that can impair your driving will result in similar fines. Okay, you need to think about the choices that you're going to take in not drinking and driving and not getting in the car with someone who has. You're going to be aware of the significant problems with alcohol-related crashes. And then I'm going to talk to you in some specifics about Utah state laws and penalties. You can see the second ones here. If you were to get picked up for drunk driving in the state of Utah, you can get as much as 6 months in jail. Your license will be suspended for 120 days minimum if you're older than 21, and 1 year until you reach the age of 21, whichever is longer. On the first conviction, if you're under 21, and subsequent can be suspended for 2 years. They just don't mess around with it. If you get picked up for drunk driving, the officer can confiscate your license on the spot and arrest you for driving under the influence. Immediately when he picks up your license, you either be of a suspension period that could be 120 days, over 21, and you can read the rest of it right here. It's serious. As soon as you're arrested, you have to surrender your license. Any individual between the ages of 13 and 20. Now, 13, you don't have a license yet, right? But if you were to get picked up for drinking and behind the wheel before your 16th birthday, they will suspend your license for 1 year anyway. 2 years for a second or subsequent offense. And if it happens under 16, then it begins on the date of the conviction and extends for a year or 2 years after your 16th birthday. So for a young driver, a 15-year-old driver, it could be 2 years before they can get their license back. It's important that you understand the Not a Drop law. The Not a Drop Act provides that a person under 21 driving with any measurable amount of alcohol. Notice that doesn't say 0.08. That's any measurable amount will have their driving suspended, their privileges suspended for 1 year if under 19, and 6 months if you're 19 or 20, and a second or subsequent offense, you can read what's there. Not a drop means you guys have, new drivers have a stricter code of the amount of alcohol that can be in their system before they're picked up. Utah has what is known as the Utah Implied Consent Law, which means that when you sign your license and agree to get it, you are agreeing that you will take a chemical test of your blood, breath, urine, oral fluids to determine alcohol content. You're giving that permission when you get your license, and you cannot withdraw the permission if you get stopped. This is called the implied consent law. In other words, if you have a license, it's implied that you have given your consent to a test. You can always refuse, but if you refuse, you'll be treated as if you were a drinking driver. Okay, that wraps up this presentation, students. It's important that you understand the implications of drinking and driving. There are a number of videos in 4.4 that we'd like you to watch and submit your essay on drunk driving. Thank you, and talk to you later.